Listen, I don't understand for the life of me why these rappers, entertainers, celebrities, athletes, whatever you want to call them, why do they, instead of focusing on, making the legitimate money that they're making, they want to still dibble and dabble in the streets. They want to still be associated or involved in the gang life and all that stuff, man. It just leads to destruction. Now, it's never okay to be engaged in illegal activity, but we know that it's a reality. Some people, they engage in criminal activity, in their opinion, out of a need of necessity or for survival, whatever. Again, it's never okay, but people do it for various reasons. But when you're finally in a position to where you can make money legitimately and make that money hand over fist, something should click in your mind to say, you know what? Let me leave this street life alone. Let me back away from this gang stuff and let me focus on making this legitimate money. Because when you make legitimate money, you don't have to look over your shoulders and wonder, is the feds coming after me? Is the state coming after me? Or whatever the case may be, when you're making legitimate money. But time and time again, we see these entertainers, these public figures, that they just, for whatever reason, they can't let the streets go. You got like Keek the Sneak. Obviously, you have Boosie, C Murder, Young Thug with the YSL stuff, Bobby Shmurda. I mean, there's so many different people. Now, this isn't to talk bad about them or to talk down about them, but it's just to have a dialogue, and hopefully that somebody will walk away with something constructive from this. And it's like when you're finally able to make it and you're finally able to, get your name out there and make that bread, don't go back. Keep going forward. Now, you're not a sellout, okay? I know some people, they want to feel like they're, a man among the community or the people, or I don't want to let my people go, and, I'm a real one, this, that, and the other. Well, you're going to be a real one in prison. Now, the only person that has more experience on speaking about living in the prison or being in the prison would be an inmate. But for me, I work there. I see it. I've talked to a lot of different entertainers. I've talked to different rappers or associates of rappers, and I've had one-on-one conversations with them. And I don't know how many times that they've just said, man, this ain't it. This ain't the life. I'm telling you, when you on the streets and you're making that legitimate money, stick to that. You know what I'm saying? And don't think for one second, if you rolling with your entourage and you think, oh, okay, I got my fall dudes with me, I got my goons, they're gonna take the fall. You never know. One of them goons or a few of them goons might be working for, law enforcement. They might be a confidential informant, giving up the goods on you. So don't think for one second that you could just do what you're doing and you ain't got to worry because you got your mans or whatever, they're going to take the fall. Because I'm here to tell you, especially if you get wrapped up in some stuff and several other people getting wrapped up in conspiracy stuff and all that, they're going to be some telling going on. Trust me when I tell you. And the thing that I don't know, I get it. You don't want to feel like you're forsaking your community or where you come from, but you can still help your people from a distance. You can still help them from a distance. You don't have to be roaming the streets and cutting up and acting a fool out there. You make some legitimate money. You want to help people in your community or help your dudes out or whatever. Establish, some foundations or, set up some different jobs within, whatever entity you're dealing with, provide some jobs for them, some legitimate jobs. Help them start their own record label or help them get, their business off and running. There's a lot of dudes in the hood that can cook good. You know what I'm saying? Maybe give them some starter money to start up a cooking business. Buy you a trailer, get you some utensils and start from scratch. You don't have to just, because a lot of these dudes, as quiet as it's kept with these artists and celebrities, a lot of these dudes that hang around them people, they're just leeches. They are leeches. And I know this firsthand, not from my own experience, but I've talked to these different people when they get locked up. And they talk about how, man, I took care of this dude. I took care of that dude. When his mom died, I paid for the funeral, this, that, and the other. And they don't get no mail. They don't get no visits, no nothing. It's like when you go to prison, you are part of the forgotten. those walls are magical. I don't know what it is. And it's for the staff that work there and the inmates. But it's like when you walk behind those walls, it's some magical thing that nobody on the outside cares about you unless something really, really bad happens and it becomes newsworthy. And here's the other thing too, man. If you're a felon, you know you are not supposed to be in possession of a firearm. You know that. There's no way that a convicted felon could tell me that they didn't know that they couldn't have a firearm. You know, if you're worried about security or you're worried about hire legitimate, security teams, hire legitimate people that have the proper license and all that stuff to carry firearms. Or with some departments, you can hire off duty officers. It just depends on what state you're in and what department. But all that stuff where you got your goons carrying the weapons and this, that, and the other and the drug, man, you need to let that stuff go. Because I'm telling you, you better hope that the state picks up the case. Now with Boosie, right, it would have been to his advantage if the state would have taken that case. Because the state, obviously, I don't think they would have pressed him as hard. But with the feds, they're going to bust him upside the head. You know what I'm saying? They're going to bust him upside the head. They got the mandatory minimums, all that stuff. So it's going to be a different ball game altogether. But I've seen numerous, I look at YouTube when I get a chance. Now I'm on break from school right now, so I'm able to look at a lot more right now. That's why I'm doing more videos right now. But you'll see, man, different entertainers, celebrities, they'll be on YouTube or Instagram or whatever, and they'll be recording how they in the hood hanging out with dudes. Then you got dudes lifting up their shirts, showing weapons and all. This crazy. You snitching on yourself. You know what I'm saying? Why be around that? If God has blessed you with legitimate streams of income and you have the ability to bring other people, put them on game or bring them on board, do it in that way. Find out what your homeboys' passions are about running a business. Because I'm sure a lot of them, they would like to have their own business. Try to give them some seed money to start the business. You can still help people. But all this stuff where you a celebrity and you finally arrived and you still want to be involved in that life, it leads to destruction. I'm telling you, again, I have talked to numerous people, whether it have been rappers or some type of entertainers, or they was in the crew. You know what I'm saying? I've even talked to dudes that took the fall, you know what I'm saying? Where somebody else should have did the time, but they took the fall for it. And what things did they get? They don't get no money put on their books. They don't get no visits. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no mail coming in. No, none of that stuff. And the other thing is, you run the risk of, you can end up doing a lot of time behind. Now, I don't know. I didn't read into Boosie's case, so I don't know how much time he's facing. But I just know when it comes to felon in possession of firearms and all that stuff, that would trigger mandatory minimums. And I don't know the facts of the case, so I can't really speak on that. But just know, man, prison is not fun. It is not cool. You know what I'm saying? When you out on the streets, enjoy that legitimate money. Stay away from those gangs. If you know you a felon in possession, or if you know you a felon, don't have no firearms. And if you afraid of the ops getting you, hire some legitimate security that are licensed, that are able to protect you legally. You know what I'm saying? Don't get yourself caught up. Because I'm telling you, man, prison, it ain't it. It is not it. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be a time where they're going to tell you when to get up. They're going to tell you when you're going to go to sleep. On your menu, whatever you're going to eat in the chow hall, unless you buy your own food or, you get with somebody that got a food hustle in the unit. You know what I'm saying? Everything is going to change for you. How would you like it? You a grown man, and depending on where you roam around in the prison or in the jail, they could just strip you out, tell you to take all your clothes off. You get butt and booty naked, and you got to squat and cough and spread your butt cheek. I'm just keeping this real. You know what I'm saying? Tell you to take off your clothes, squat, cough, spread your butt cheeks to make sure you ain't got nothing up your behind. What kind of life is that? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I say, man, enjoy the legitimate money. Just try to come up with strategies on how to build on the money that you have with other legitimate avenues. But don't think for 1 second that all your dues that you taking care of, because I know how it goes. You know what I'm saying? You get out of the hood or you make it, so you got this whole entourage of people that's leeching off of you and all that stuff. But I can tell you what, if all y'all was facing a gang of time, people gonna start singing like Jodeci, and that is guaranteed. Now, I'm not going to go too long with this video, but I just wanted to talk about this because it seemed like from some of the interviews, or at least the one Boosie did on the Breakfast Club, it seemed like he might have started getting it, maybe, because he was just like, he ain't trying to look for smoke like that no more, and just thinking about some of the things he did that was just foolish or whatever. So it kind of seemed like maybe he was getting it and trying to, turn a new leaf, I guess. I don't really follow him like that, but I know he's a very entertaining person. I know on the Breakfast Club, he has millions of views. When he's on other people, he's getting at least 500,000 views. You know what I'm saying? But now he's in a situation where he might be going away for some little time. I don't mean a little bit of time, but he might be going away for a decent bit of time. You know what I'm saying? And it's like all of the freedoms that he had, it's going to be gone. Now, obviously, you still have some constitutional rights, but the way that he moves and grooves on the streets and all that stuff, that ain't happening inside. It ain't going to happen inside. Where he be bucking on people, and, that one video where he was telling the police like something like, you can come work for me, and, I'll pay you this, or I'll double your salary. He go in there and start talking that stuff. They're going to put his behind in shoe. They're going to say, oh, you trying to bribe officials? Oh, you trying to do this? You trying to shoe, take him to shoe. You know what I'm saying? So all of the things that he's used to doing and how he cuts up and all that, man, is totally different in prison. Like for real, for real. And one thing that I can say, working in, the jails and the prisons, it really helped me to understand how valuable time is. Like time is like the ultimate, like resource that we have, or it's like the ultimate precious commodity. Because think about it, you know what I'm saying? When people get out of line and they break crime, they break, the rules or the laws or whatever, and they have to do time in prison, you can get money back. You can get different worldly possessions back, but you cannot get time back. Time is not replaceable. It cannot be replenished. It cannot be replaced. So all that time, what I'm saying, that you sitting in prison, that's time, you can, better yourself and try to ensure that when you get out, you won't, come back. But all of that time that you're sitting in that jail or a prison, you cannot get that time back. And I really feel like that's one of the reasons why prison is prison, why it's heavily used when it comes to criminal acts. Because if you find somebody, it might hurt, it might make them whatever, but they can get that money back. But, when you go to prison and you basically on adult timeout, you know what I'm saying? You can't leave past the walls or whatever. That is time that you cannot ever get back. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. I don't know. I just wish, man, that, these dudes could understand like the gravity of the situations that they put themselves in, man. If you making legitimate money and here you are, you've arrived or whatever, why would you want to associate, in your immediate circle, why would you want to associate with people, what I'm saying, that might have the chance to bring you down? Or why would you want to be around situations where you can lose all of that stuff? You know what I'm saying? Again, if you want to be a help to your community, you can help them from a distance. Because I'm telling you right now, whatever's going on with Boosie, if they end up pinning all that stuff on him or whatever, I don't know the details of it, but I can tell you, people from his hood and people around town and all that, they're not going to say, hey, Boosie, give me that time. I know the judge just sentenced you, but give me that time and I'll do it. Nah, you're going to have to do that time. And the other people. And again, I'm not trying to talk down on these individuals or trying to disrespect them. It's just trying to use this video for, constructive use, because there are a lot of talented people that do make it, but for whatever reason, they just can't let the streets go. They just can't let that activity go. And it's like, man, that is going to drag you down. Doing time in prison is not fun at all. And even outside of just celebrities or whoever, I've just talked to just regular old people that's just doing time. And they're just like, man, I wish I wouldn't have did what I did. I wish I would have walked the straight and narrow. I wish I wouldn't have dropped out of school. I wish I would have listened to my grandma, my granddad, or whoever. You know what I'm saying? It's just you're going to have nothing but time to reflect on all of the decisions that you've made in your life. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. It's just something about it that I don't know what it is that entices them to continue in those ways, but it leads to destruction. I already know I said I'm gonna wrap this up once. I know I sound like a preacher. I'm saying I'm closing 15 times, but I really hope that somebody will take something constructive away from this. And I really hope that, people can understand that you can help people in your community. You can lift them up. You can give them opportunities to do better in life, to excel in life. You know what I'm saying? It don't got to be nothing illegal. Give them some starter money to start up their business. Get them in contact with some of your connections with trying to start up something or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But that fast life, that street, you don't have to do that no more. When you are making legitimate money, when you are touring across the country, right, or touring all over the world, and you are making money hand over fists, you don't need to sell drugs. I mean, you should never sell them anyways. But when you're making so much legitimate money, don't be greedy. It is greed that will get you. It will get you. You know what I'm saying? You can live off the money that you're making from your image, from your likeness, from all these other things that you're doing. Capitalize on that. Just capitalize on that. Just focus on that. But, I don't really have too much more to say on this because, again, I'm not trying to talk down on, any rappers or make it seem like, I'm better than them or anything because that's not the case. It's just I hate seeing people falling for this same trap or falling into the same trap because they're making money hand over fist. You know what I'm saying? They could go to a club and be a little guest host or whatever you call it out there and, probably get 10, 20 or $50,000 just for being in there and giving the club a shout out. There are so many ways that you can make money the legitimate way. So just focus on that. Don't get caught up in that stuff because when you in that jail cell or you in that prison cell, you ain't going to have your boys on the street ain't going to be up in there with you. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be the one that has to do that time. And that time, it ain't nobody going to forget the amount of time you got to do. The computers aren't going to have no glitch. Now, sometimes they do and they let out the wrong person. But generally speaking, that computer ain't going to forget the time that you got to do. The courts ain't going to forget the time you got to do. And you're going to do every minute of whatever time you're supposed to do unless you get some type of relief in the courts. So just please, man, please just leave that life alone. Focus on the future. Build on that, help other people come in and show them legitimate ways. And if you don't know the way to make, good money or to invest or whatever, get with somebody that does. You know what I'm saying? Get with somebody that does. So until the next video, holla at your boy.